Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joe Neumaier, film critic for WOR Radio. Let's have a huge round of applause, please, for Dumplin. And it is now my great honor to welcome the film star, Danielle Macdonald. Nice to see you. Hi. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Such a treat. Can you guys hear us? Are we okay? Yeah? You okay? Good. Such a treat to have you here. The film has got so much...
Amber Alert's been going off all day.
Amber,
yeah.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Phones off if we can. Thanks. The film is so sweet and so genuine, and there's so much going on inside of it. I'm wondering, when you first got the script, and in terms of research, if you read the book or if you just talked with the director, Kate Fletcher, and figured out kind of what were some of the subtleties about this beautiful film, because it has a very interesting message, but it also takes place in a very specific milieu, the South, at a beauty pageant. And I'm wondering if you did any research for that and just kind of dug out into stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's based on a book, and obviously when you adapt a book to a film, things have to change, and that was one of the big things that we spoke about, because certain characters from the book didn't make it into the film, and that sucks, like, as a fan of the book, but at the same time, we didn't want the movie to suffer and the characters to be underdeveloped. So that was kind of one of the big things that we spoke about. And yeah, we spoke about the pageant world and, Texas in general, and just really finding that small town kind of feel. And it was really the focus on the mother-daughter relationship that we found before we started shooting. Jen and I hung out just to kind of get to know each other and get comfortable with each other, so that when we went to Atlanta to film, it was easy. Yeah.
We'll get to Jennifer in just one moment, because obviously that relationship is so crucial to the film. But in terms of research, do you like to do a lot of research before you tackle a role, or what is your reading the script? What's that like for you, Danielle?
Depends on the role, I guess. If it's something that I have to have knowledge in, yeah, I like to do a lot of research. In this case, it was more of a coming of age, and it was something that I really related to already. And understood, so it didn't require as much in this sense. But at the same time, like, obviously learning a new accent was something I focused on, and always. And yeah, learning a little bit about the pageant world, but she's kind of figuring it out as she goes along as well, so I don't want to focus too much on that. It was mostly about relationships, so that's kind of something that you just have to be in the moment with. I knew the character really well. I read the book multiple times. I went through the script a lot. That was kind of my main preparation. Yeah.
And Ann Fletcher says that she had obviously seen an early screening of Patty Cakes, and she knew you were perfect for the role. She wanted to talk with you a little bit more about it. What were those conversations like with her early on?
We ended up meeting at some random, like, little pub, I don't know, between the two of us, and we ended up staying for 3 hours just talking, and we just got along really well. We were very open and honest with each other, which was really cool. I feel like when you can be that honest and direct with a director, I was like, oh, this would be an amazing experience, and it was. It was incredible. It was just one of those things that felt very natural and real, and I haven't had that experience with a ton of directors, because often there's like a little almost more intimidation or something. You don't get to just almost become friends with them, basically. And that was really something that we had on this, so that was really lucky. We spoke about everything, like literally our family lives, like our insecurities, like what we went through as teenagers, what we related to in the book, like why we both want to do this, everything. Yeah.
And of course, your amazing co-star, Jennifer Aniston. Let's have a huge round of applause, by the way, for Jennifer. And you guys work together so well. One of the things I always, obviously her comedy chops are through the roof, but I always like her in roles where there is a little level of melancholy, where there's sort of a sentimentality going on, because it offsets a little bit and it makes it all sort of more human for her. And obviously this is a perfect role for that. What was it like for you guys early on, and kind of, discussing what this relationship would be like?
When we first met up, it was kind of more just getting to know each other and our experiences. She kind of spoke about her relationship with her mom and what she took from that and what she wanted to bring to this character because of it. And I spoke about just growing up as a teenager, how I felt, my relationship with my family. It was really about connecting on those levels so that we could feel very comfortable with each other, but also understand each other's like perspectives and family life and where we were coming from, which was really good. But I don't know, we would like watch dog videos together and stuff like that. Like, honestly, she introduced me to the dodo, which now is like life-changing. Every day I cry because of one of those videos. So, I mean, that was kind of like our bonding experience. I don't know. She like showed me this app where my dog would talk, and like I was like, what is happening? She's like, oh, you got to get down with the apps. I was like, okay. She taught me a lot.
That's the stuff that actually like it makes the passing of the time so much more important on a set.
Yeah,
like when you got the apps, right?
I was like, oh my gosh, all these things I didn't even know about.
Well, her comic timing, like yours, is so spot on, and that's an important thing in a film like this because obviously, while there's a lot of important messages going on and there's a lot of sentiment, it's also obviously there's very funny and there's sort of a beautiful sense of two people from two different generations looking at the same event from different eyes. How about the comic timing between the two of you? Did you mesh in a certain way? Because it's very important.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing, I mean, we didn't really do anything to prepare for that. It was kind of just really listening and reacting off of each other. And like when you have the comfort level, it just makes it easy. One of the most fun scenes we filmed, I would say, would be the one where we're going to head at the pageant, like, and I'm trying to make her sign my form. That was just so fun. Like, we got freedom to play, and we did play around. We just, I don't know, had fun with it and got to try different things. And it ended up, like, when I watched it, I was like, oh, I remember, like, I had a lot of fun in that scene, and like I could tell. So that was good. Yeah.
We'll take some questions from everybody in just a moment, but you mentioned accents a couple of seconds ago. I very rarely have seen anyone so adept at accents as you. I mean, obviously in Patty Cakes and in Bird Box, which is coming out also on Netflix, and in here. Yes, let's give a round of applause for all of those films. Your natural Australian accent obviously is one that you can easily lose, but picking up the other ones, the nuances of those other accents, is a terrific skill to have. Have you always had that?
I don't know. I mean, the irony is I was just in Australia filming a movie. I got back like, I'm really jet lagged. I got back like a day and a half ago. And I got called out so many times. They were like, you're not Australian enough. And I was like, so apparently I can do every accent besides Australian, even though it's my natural accent. So great. Ironically, that's what happened. I was like, I'll be fine for this one. No. Didn't happen. Now I need to practice my own accent. Right. I'll know for next time. But yeah, I mean, I really find accents just by listening. So I'll go through the entire script with a dialect coach just over a couple sessions, just so that I have said it all out loud and someone's like told me the things to focus on. And then I'll just listen to tapes, basically, and just like get it really in my head, hearing it over and over again, and then go through the script myself just with the like little notes. Like my scripts are all messy and writing all over it, like random thing, like like arrows and squiggles, and everyone's like, what is that? I was like, it's accent stuff. I don't know, it makes sense in my head. So it's just, that's kind of my process. Yeah, but I know everyone's different with that.
Yeah. Does that help you get into a character in a different way? Because I know some people use wardrobe in some ways. Some people use music to kind of get into the mood of a character. Is that something that helps you in some ways?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm one of those people that likes to do my accent while I'm filming, but then between takes, I'm in my Australian accent. Because to me, it feels weird doing the accent as me, if that makes sense. Like it so belongs to that character that it really helps me find that character when I go into the accent. So I don't like to stay in my accent, like when I'm not in character. Yeah.
If anybody has any questions, put up a hand really high. I've got a bright light in our face. I want to make sure we get everyone. Yes, right there.
First of all, it was a 5-tissue film. I was just curious, did Dolly come to set ever, or what her involvement might have been?
I think before we started filming, they got permission from her, because it was an indie movie. It got bought by Netflix like later. She gave permission to like use her back catalog of music for cheap, obviously, indie budget. And that was really cool, because the movie wouldn't be what it is if we couldn't have Dolly. That's the whole like focus of it in a way. And then Dolly, I think later on, like kept going, and she just was really interested in the project. And they were like, do you want to maybe write a song, like just one song to have in there? And she ended up writing 6. She's like, we just got in a roll and just ended up writing 6, and then we re-recorded old favorites. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow. So it was just crazy. And she ended up seeing the movie, and that's when she wrote even more. So she wrote one called Push and Pull, which is about Jen and I's relationship. And so then she wanted us to come in and sing on that, because she's like, it's about you guys. You have to sing on it. We don't sing. That didn't seem to matter. So they were like, I said that. I was like, I don't sing. And they were like, well, you can just come in and kind of like talk a little bit. It'll be that kind of thing. I was like, oh, I mean, I want to be on a Dolly Parton soundtrack, sure. So I went in the next day, and they're like, so you heard the song? And I was like, yeah, they like played it for me, and they're like, cool, so you memorized it, you're singing the whole thing. And I was like, nope, that is not the deal. That was not what I got told. And Jen's like, I'll go first. And then she just goes and sings the whole thing. And I was like, well, I can't say no now, because that just makes me the worst. So I went in there and embarrassed and mortified myself. So it was good. Dolly told me to stick to acting. Seriously, she did. In a very sweet way, but she did.
Were you a Dolly fan before the film? Did you kind of have to immerse yourself into all of Dolly Finalia, kind of Dolly facts, Dolly figures?
I loved her music. I loved all of her hits. I knew her hits. I knew like a dozen songs. And so when it came to the movie, you know, because we know all of her songs, they gave us like 20 songs to memorize and learn. I was like, oh, I already know a bunch of these. But it was cool because I didn't know that much about her. Like, I didn't know her sayings and really like what she was about and what she stood for. And that was one of the really cool things that I kind of got to find out. Like, all of her quotes, I was like, I love these. These are amazing. I love like find out who you are and do it on purpose. That one, I was like, oh, everyone needs to like live by that. And that was really cool. And then when I met her, I was like, wow, you actually are this person. Like, you really are. Like, you're just, you know, I'm singing and I'm struggling. She's like, it's fine. We've got all day. Don't worry. And I was like, I mean, I'm more intimidated because you're watching me sing, but at the same time, it's very nice what you're doing. And that's the thing. She really is that person that's just always encouraging and always like standing up for everyone. And that's amazing.
And it adds so much to this amazing film's sort of message of be yourself and not be afraid to be yourself. Yeah. Next question. Yes.
I have a question about your career, just in general. As a fellow like character actress of size of sorts, I'm curious if anything's changed for you now that you've got a little bit more success in your career, how it was navigating it earlier, and if it's any different navigating it now.
Yeah, I mean, navigating it earlier was just, you know, you go on auditions when you get them. They're few and far between, and they're all kind of random things, and often it's completely non-specific, and they'll just see you and you kind of know you're never going to get it. And then some things are super specific, and it's like, oh, well, it's that character that you're always going for. So I don't know, that's kind of what it was, but I was always just like, I just want to work. Like, I love acting and I want to work. And so when you get a job, you take it, and it's good and it's amazing. And then I didn't realize there was a whole other world that I didn't know about, I guess. And after Patty Cakes came out, it was like suddenly doors appeared that like didn't exist before. It wasn't that they were there and closed. Like, I just didn't know they existed. It was like Monsters, Inc. and all these doors just came down, and I was like, oh, what? That's a thing? And it was really cool and kind of crazy. And I'm still not like used to it. But yeah, all of a sudden there are opportunities, and there are people that are willing to see a character completely different to how it's written. And that was amazing, I guess, because it kind of shows that the industry is willing to change a little and get with the times and represent people of all different, you know, backgrounds, sizes, everything. So that was a cool thing. And hopefully it keeps going in that direction. I'm just taking it one day at a time. I know I'm working right now, but who knows? In like a year, you never know in this industry. So I'm just taking it one day at a time.
Next question. Yes.
Yeah, what I want to say is that I think that this movie is very important for little girls and girls growing up to see you in that role and to see that confidence build. I wish that would have happened to me when I was little.
Same.
Yeah, and I'm sure you won't even realize what the impact will be, but there are millions of little girls around that could understand what you put forth for them to be able to live their life. I'm sure you're making a great impact.
Thank you.
It was kind of more of a statement than a question, but talking about the, but I like the idea of it. No, because it also, it brings up the idea that, you know, as this YA book and as the script went around and as obviously as it became a film, you know, that's the sort of thing that obviously infuses a project with importance and with a backbone and with sort of a trajectory in some ways. And I think that this is the kind of film that it's in there from the beginning, so it only becomes more important as it goes on, right?
Yeah, I mean, everyone asked me why I wanted to do this movie, and I was like, I wanted to do it for my 16-year-old self. Like, I needed this as a teenager, and I didn't get this as a teenager. I didn't feel represented kind of on screen. And I think it's really important for everyone to know that you can be the star in your own life. Like, you're the lead in your life, you know? Like, don't take a backseat. Don't think, oh, you know, one day maybe I'll do this. It's like, no, take action and do what you want to do. And I think that this movie, like, encouraged me when I was reading. I was like, oh my God, I wish I had this when I was a teenager, because it shows that you're not alone. Everyone goes through this, which is really important. But it also just, it's relatable to everyone, and it makes you realize that you care more than everyone else does. You know, like, she's freaking out about getting in a relationship with Beau because of how everyone else will feel, and no one else cares, only she does. And it's because society has kind of put that in our head that we should, and no, we just need to, like, get out of our heads, accept ourselves, get confident, and live our lives.
And the beauty pageant world is such an Americana. It's in a you know, a small kind of crucible in so many ways. There's so many things going on there, but in its very sort of essence, it sort of feels just very American and kind of needs to be kind of have a lot of those boundaries broken down. Yeah. Next question.
Well, for somebody who didn't expect to cry as much as he did, it's also important for little boys. Thanks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sounds like it was a five cry for you as well. Next question, yeah.
Hi. I think you're super, and this movie is amazing. And I wondered, I think that it's probably going to be compared at least somewhat to Insatiable, since it's the whole pageant thing and there's a size element to it. I wondered if you had any thoughts as we go along and seeing size inclusivity come up a little bit more, how we can raise up movies like this rather than tearing down things that we think are not what we want to see. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. I actually didn't see Insatiable, so I don't. Okay, so I don't completely know the reference point, but I did hear kind of a lot of what was going on about it. Yeah, I mean, I think we always just try and, you know, we get very defensive and everyone wants to kind of tear things down, I feel like. But it shouldn't be about that. I don't know, someone was asking me about body positivity, and it's like, you're not going to do what everyone, like, with other people do, and they just, like, get in this industry and they get small or something. And I was like, I'm not going to judge what someone else has done. Like, everyone has their own body. Everyone's allowed to do what they want with their own body, and I'm not going to judge someone for their decisions, and I don't think anyone should. So I don't like tearing people down for that. Everyone has a different shape, size, like, background. It's none of our business. And I think that promoting positivity and not tearing people down is way better. And I think that that is kind of what this movie does. And it also shows that, you know, like, Ellen is a very beautiful girl, like Will's best friend. She's stunning, and she has insecurities. That's kind of the whole point. Like, we all do. And we'll judge other people. Will judges a lot. She was very judgy at the beginning of the movie. And it was hard to film that. I hated that. I was like, oh, why are you doing this? But she had to grow and learn. You know, we all do. And I think it was important to see that we're judged, and so we judge others out of, like, fear or defense or whatever it is. And we need to get to a point where we're all accepting of each other despite our differences. Like, it shouldn't matter. Like, differences are what make us individual. Yeah, so I don't know if that kind of,
As far as, like,
yeah.
Raising up positive things, you know what I mean? Like, the way we talk about things that are good versus
Kind of writing and creating and making things as opposed to just being exempt from things or changing things.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it goes back to like the writing room, and I think that even though we're seeing a lot of diversity in all areas on camera now, which is a great start because we need to, there is still a lot of work to be done behind the camera. Because I think that you can really tell when parts are written for people by people that have no experience of that. And this is not me judging, but like you can tell and you can feel it, and it feels kind of wrong. And so I think that we need to have more diversity in the writing room, in both publishing with books and in film and television. I think that is really kind of the backbone that people don't realize. They're like, oh, but we've written a role here, so, you know, look, diversity. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like, you have no idea what this character's life is about. You've done an idea from your perspective and you've never experienced that, which is also why I think it is very important for boys to see this movie as well. It is, girls and boys will never have the exact same experience. That's just life. And I think that we need to understand each other and see things from other perspectives because it helps us learn and grow as human beings.
Absolutely. Let's give that a round of applause, by the way. No, really, because it's, and I just want to go back to one thing that you said, because it's part of obviously the scaffolding of the character, but also it's about your beautiful performance, is that she is judgmental. Will is a very three-dimensional character. It's not like she's not this virtuous character. She's not sort of a saintly figure. She's obviously, she covers all the spectrums of human emotion, including being judgmental herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question. Yeah.
From an acting standpoint, which was your hardest scene to film and why?
Oh, that's hard. Because like conditions, you know what I mean? Like we were filming, for example, the scene where I go into Lucy's room and I kind of like break down a little bit. We had to shoot that on 3 separate days, like one scene, different coverage over 3 days. And so you're like, I was in this yesterday, and then you go straight to something else, and then you have to go back to that exact same spot that you've already filmed part of. So technical things like that where we didn't have a choice. There were so many storms while we were filming, and there were all these crazy things that were happening, and so we didn't have a choice. And that was hard mentally for me, because when I'm doing a scene, I love to be able to just do the scene and focus on that scene. So that was difficult. But the pageant stuff was actually a lot harder than I thought. We were all like, this will be fun, pageant week. We'll like get dressed up and I mean, like hours in hair and makeup, corsets, like uncomfortable heels that we were just struggling in. This is for some reason one of the hardest scenes I filmed. Walking to the car in that dress at the end of the movie, I ripped that dress 10 times. I fell on my face. I had such trouble. They had so much trouble just getting one take of where I could walk looking face forwards and not stumble. So that was difficult. Like things you never expect.
Next question. There's a couple of hands. I want to make sure we get everybody. We have time for about 1 or 2 more. Nope. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Sorry, can't see.
First off, I want to say thank you for being here. Amazing performance, like always. My name is Faya Madrid. I'm a stunt performer here in New York. And I just want to say, well, the question that I automatically wanted to ask you was more about Bird Box. Yeah. It was your performance was brilliant. Now, were you completely scared out of your mind when you read that script?
Bird Box? Yes. I was. It's, you know what? It like really, it kept me more on the edge of my seat watching it. I had no idea it was going to be like that. Like the editing was phenomenal and the music, because I read the script and I was like, oh, it's like a drama thriller. And then I watched the movie and I was like, what's going to happen next? And I know exactly what's going to happen next, and they still made me question it. So it was one of those experiences that was, yeah, it surprised me like that. It was really cool to watch. And I'm not in that movie like enough that I can't watch it as a movie. Like Dumplin', I can't judge. I don't know how it is, because it's my face. It's too much. But Bird Box, I'm like, I just appear every so often. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like Sandy's killing it. And John with that gun. Like I'm just, you know what I mean? Like I got really into it, yeah. Thanks.
Did you and Anne kind of change anything in the course of filming, and not in an improvised way, but just in maybe saying this maybe needs to be a little bit finessed this way, or something kind of needs to be adjusted a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, when we were on set, she gave me a lot of freedom. So if there was anything that happened, she kind of just went with it. Especially when we did the drag queen stuff, like she was totally down for improv. Ginger Minge, like improv'd a bunch, which was great. I mean, there's like a pot in there, and I'm like pulling this magic thing through, and it wouldn't come, and I just broke it by accident, and I just started laughing because I was shocked, and she just kept in character, and they used it in the film, even though I didn't stay in character. No one knows except for all of you.
We have time for just about one more. Yes, right there.
Hi, brilliant performance. Thank you so much. What really got me is the character that wasn't there. I have an Aunt Lucy that passed away, and I don't think I stopped crying, and I have a ring of hers that I wear every day. How did that, was there someone that made you think of, did you have an Aunt Lucy, and, how did, because it was so touching to see, and the character's not there anymore, that we see. So how did that affect you?
I mean, it's funny because when I met up with Jen, we were talking about our mothers, and I was like, my mom was a little bit more like Aunt Lucy, honestly. Like, my mom's very supportive and amazing, and I got lucky in that sense. So I kind of had my mom more in mind when I was thinking about that. I got very lucky with my family. I'm very lucky. I got a great mom and dad and sister, and they've always been very supportive and never thought that I couldn't do it. They're like, oh no, you're so stubborn, you'll get there eventually. Like, if nothing else. So it was, I got lucky in that sense. So that is kind of what I was thinking in those moments.
When did you first become interested in acting? When did you first want to act?
I started doing performing arts classes when I was in 8th grade. I was doing singing, dancing, acting. Singing I was rubbish at. Dancing was fun. I wasn't like particularly great, but it was fun, and like I was fine. I kept up. And then acting I fell in love with. Like, I just loved it. So I think in about 10th grade they were telling us to choose subjects, for your future, and do subjects that you really want to do when you're older. And I was just like, well, I just want to act. And that's where I realized, oh wow, there really isn't anything else I want to do. And so I think I started doing more classes around that time as well. And yeah, it was one-track minded, no backup plan.
Led to a good place. What surprised you the most, Danielle, to wrap up, about this film, about Dumplin'? What surprised you about it?
Honestly, the experience. I don't know if it was surprising. I hoped it would be a good experience. I think you always go into it hoping, but it was like an incredible experience. It was just one of those things where I'm still friends with the girls. Like, we still hang out. Like, Odeya is still like my bestie. She's great. And we're really lucky that we had that connection. Like, I don't know, we would do 16-hour days, like crazy hours, and then we'd get home and we'd have to be up in a few hours for the next day, and we're like, let's like hang. Like, we shouldn't be doing that, but we just want to hang out and be around each other at all times, which is amazing, because usually it's like, okay, I need a break now. It wasn't like that at all. It was just, we had so much fun. And Anne, our director, like, we'd be 4 a.m. and, I was filming that magic performance thing at about 5 a.m. We finished shooting at 6 a.m. that day. And we'd been going for at least 14 hours already. It was one of the really long days. And I had to just do it. And there's, an audience of like 200 people. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like loopy at this point, because it was also week 5. So you've been doing it for a while. And then Anne's just like doing jazz hands and like kicks across the floor. Like, you got this. I'll dance with you. And I'm like, you have no idea how much that helps. And I really need that right now. So it just, the vibe, like, everyone kept it positive. Our producers were amazing. Usually I'm a little scared of producers. I wasn't on this. Like, they were honestly very cool. And it was just, there's experiences that you're like, oh, they're rare. They're really rare. It was that. And that was the most surprising. Like, I love all these people so much.
I love that you guys connected, because obviously, as so many of these comments have shown, the movie really connected with all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, Danielle Macdonald, and the film is Dumplin'. Thank you so much for being with us.